would now like to call upon Chairman of the Employability Working Group, Mr. Saktiandi Supaat, to share with us the CLF 2010 FPE key recommendations.
Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Abdullah Tamugi, Minister for the Environment and Water Resources and Minister in charge of Muslim Affairs, Dr. Yaakob Ibrahim, Members of Parliament, community leaders, fellow working group members and friends. Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to all. Indeed, the earlier video clip has shown that the FPE process itself has been an enriching experience for the young individuals involved, including myself. Today, on behalf of the FPE working group teams, I would like to share a short story about the FPE and what we have explored in terms of future-oriented strategic recommendations. It's hard to condense all the details into 8 to 10 slides or 10 minutes, but I will attempt to give you a flavor of the broad key recommendations, the details of which can be found in the report that you have in your hands and the annex, and the key actionable items will be introduced later in the second half of this morning. So this presentation consists of 4 segments. First, the background on the FPE journey. Second, trajectory, which is basically sharing with you the 4 key thrusts arising from the engagement. Third, milestones. Under this key thrust are 3 focus areas of proposed immediate action. And lastly, checkpoints. Basically, here I will discuss the main message gleaned from the FPE process as well as post-FPE, what we're going to do. So this forward planning exercise, or FPE, began on the 5th of December 2009, almost a year ago. It is meant to be youth-led and has a 10-year horizon to look at. So it's very forward-looking, has a very longer-term perspective rather than just focusing on current or short-term issues. So over 90 young individuals from various industries, various backgrounds, has embarked on a year-long consultative, participatory series of engagements with different cross-sections of the community using various mediums. They are divided into 4 working groups in line with the present CLF networks, which are education, employability, family, and youth. They have undertaken formal engagements in the form of focus group discussions, interviews, informal discussions, and seminars. In parallel, there were also non-formal engagements, and this include the form of a street festival, for example, and interactive workshops, internet commentaries, and also print collaterals. The information gathered and observations made were then consolidated into 2 integration workshops. So 2 integration workshops. The first involved inputs from industry practitioners, and the second, which was quite interesting, was with senior community leaders. However, let me highlight to you at this point, while we may confidently say that the engagement process was very intensive, it's neither exhaustive nor conclusive, and it's a work in progress. And there's only so much a group of youths, 100 individuals, can do within 1 year. Now let me touch on the strategic thrusts which have guided us in coming out with the specific recommendations. The first thrust is to enhance or establish strong social networks to ensure effective transferability of resources among individuals and across different groups in the community. Basically, it is all about building networks and 3 things. First, knowing the who's who and having them know you. Second, that the networks are informal and formal, and that it should be global, going beyond cultural and religious lines. Our view is that the circulation of social capital is critical for the community, especially in this age of rapid global changes. The Employability Working Group, for example, found that information sharing within community across generations, between professions, between disciplines, and also with other ethnic groups, can be enhanced to help uplift the community. The second thrust is to establish a supportive environment to embrace diversity and also celebrate multiple pathways of success. One critical concern that we have is the situation where, despite global changes in social and economic landscape, traditional approaches in engaging the young may have been unconsciously retained without evaluating its effectiveness and its relevance. In cultivating our young, some would say it's environment, or some say it's inborn, some say it's based on his or her personal capacity. The working groups found that it is a complex interplay of both, and we should commit to make the environment more conducive for youth to participate actively and for them to realize their full potential. Next, the third thrust. Basically, it's on cultivating an enterprise-driven ecosystem. Besides strategies for the individuals, we also believe in cultivating an enterprise-driven environment, which we think is very important. This can include a very supportive environment for risk-taking and also acceptance of failures, as well as an environment which instills creativity and resourcefulness in the future workforce. For example, if I may borrow this analogy, just like a rocket ship trying to reach a certain speed to escape the Earth's gravitational pull, the community will need to focus not only on the pilot's training and self-confidence, but also make enhancements to the rocket's infrastructure, such as community research and development and also foundations. And lastly, to rejuvenate the citizen leader. This final trust enables us to see through the direction of the earlier key trusts. And what does it entail? Basically, it means the community's ability to sustainably create individuals who have a conscience and thus care for the community and the country. And what does it require? It requires the need to inculcate a sense of mission and responsibility in every individual in order to reach a shared vision of excellence, as well as a periodic rejuvenation to maintain the community's peak leadership capacity. All that boils down to this term called conscientized leadership, atau pemimpin yang bersikap peduli, at both personal and also collective level to sustain earlier key trusts towards 2020 and beyond. Not just in terms of community leaders, but as individuals as well, you can be and have this characteristic. And under this key trust are three focus areas. It is great to see so many young people in this theatre today. This shows the extent to which the community is appreciating its young and seeing it as an asset. We need to harness our youth as an energy for community progress and not letting it be a waste. In fact, in most of our discussions with various segments of the community over this past year, they have generally signaled that it is essential to tap on the potential of the youth, especially to chart a future direction of the community. And we should recognize youth potential and mobilize efforts to elevate them as co-developers of the community. This can be done through the nurturance of the mind and allowing youth presence in community building. So as you can see from some of our recommended detailed strategies in the report that you have in your hand, as well as the annex, the focus is on this age group. For instance, the Youth Working Group has recommended drawing up a youth charter to create an inclusive environment that recognizes diversity among the Malay Muslim community. And the Family Working Group, for example, recommended enhancing network structures and a strong community support system that is accessible to young families. Younger generation of Malays today are also increasingly more educated, adventurous, technologically inclined, and globally connected. But what do we want our youth to achieve over the next 10 years and beyond? The key takeaway here is that there's a need to groom specialists across various areas of expertise so as to perform in a future dynamic economic landscape. Even in the current economic landscape, it is not enough for a person to be a specialist in specifically just one area, especially when the industries and the job market is actually changing dynamically and changing so rapidly. This would necessitate an emphasis on learning skills, including unlearning and relearning, for example. And we are not just talking here about university graduates. It also applies to ITE, madrasa, and also poly graduates. The Employability Working Group would like to share with you a recent UK government study on the shape of jobs to come in 2030, just to give a flavor of what jobs will be probably in 2030, in 10 to 20 years. The top 5 jobs voted there were old age wellness consultant or manager, vertical farmer, nanomedic, climate change reversal specialist, and new scientist ethicist. So as you can see, all these jobs are multidisciplinary in nature. And rapid developments in multiple disciplines have delivered and will continue to deliver major benefits across fields such as diverse as education, healthcare, the internet, manufacturing, construction, environmental protection, and even travel. And finally, these recommendations will not be complete without the upliftment of the other community partners as well. We hope to realize the League of Extraordinary Partners, and this means enhancing or creating new community foundations to meet future demands of our community. One possibility is for CLF to carve out an avenue for fresh ideas from youths and young professionals which could be tested and incubated as an effort to enhance community foundations. At the same time, instilling enterprise-driven ethos in the community. And finally, it is apt to highlight the overriding message or spirit of the report which you have in your hands, which basically encompasses the views across all participants in this process. One is the notion of our community instead of the community. The immediate step forward is perhaps to enhance the present partnership within the Malay Muslim community and across society into a league of extraordinary partners. Extraordinary partners committed to memejana sebuah generasi yang bersikap peduli, a generation that is appreciative of contributions from the past, co-creators of opportunities for the present, and responsible towards future generations. So to end this presentation, I would like to thank all my peers in the working groups, and on behalf of the working group chairs and co-chairs, we would like to thank CLF FPE Chair, Minister Yaacob, co-chairs, advisors, and Secretariat for the enriching educational journey throughout this forward planning exercise. I personally have learned a lot over the past 1 year from community leaders, youths, and team members from various backgrounds. If it is of any indication, the level of passion and concern for the community from my working group members, for example, over the last year or so, should be a positive forward-looking indicator for the community in the long run. Thank you.